Hey everybody, Jeremy here, and today I want to show you this. This is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Classic Collection Donatello, and it was made by Playmates Toys, and this Donatello is based off of the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, The Secret of the Ooze. It came out in 1991, and when I first found out that Playmates Toys were making action figures based on that movie in a more premium format than what they usually do, I was pretty excited about it. And the second Turtles movie is my personal favorite Turtles movie to date. And we don't usually see things like this from Playmates Toys all that often. The Turtles figures that they tend to put out cater towards a younger audience, and it shows. They have some pretty decent molded detail, but it kind of just starts to fall apart when it comes to paint and articulation. It's something that the really younger kids may not care about, but for us big kids, that's kind of a big deal to us. So Playmates decided to bring out this. This is Donatello. There's also a Leonardo out, and this is only available at Walmart. So if you want this and you want to get it in the store, you are going to have to go to Walmart, and it costs 20 bucks. So $19.99 kind of puts it at a similar price point for some more premium figures from other companies. And I am very happy about this, and I hope that it lives up to my expectations. So let's just take a look at the box here. You see that we have a whole bunch of stuff here that goes along with Donatello. He's got 3 interchangeable heads. He has that Wiffle Bat, and then he also has his regular bow staff and the broom. And these were all based on scenes from the movie. Really, like in the beginning of the part of the movie with the Wiffle Bat when we're taking on the Foot Clan inside that mall. That was pretty awesome. And on the back, we just get this little portrait of Donatello with a couple of other pictures here. Of course, it's going to have the Nickelodeon logo on it, even though Nickelodeon really had nothing to do with it back then. But that's pretty much it. It's a very simplistic package. It's black, and I guess that just sort of signifies like, hey, collector's packaging, let's make it black because it's serious. But that's it for the packaging. So without further ado, I'm going to open up this guy, and let's hope and pray that this Donatello is awesome, because he looks awesome. I think Playmates did a very good job with this action figure, and if you're looking for a more premium Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle and you don't want to spend upwards to 80, 100 bucks on one, then this is probably going to be the best that you can do, and that's not a bad thing. As you see here, I got him in this somewhat of a dynamic pose with his bow staff here, and I think that it looks pretty good. You see Donatello's skin is of a darker green, kind of like a darker olive green, to just sort of match his skin tone in the actual movie. But one thing that is lacking from his overall design are like the little black spots that were on the turtles in that movie. If you look back, they had like all these little spots on them, and this figure does not have that. I wish they would have added that little extra detail. I think it would have went a long way. And as you can see, Donatello's bow staff did fall out of his hand. That's one negative that I'm going to have to address a little bit later on. But just taking another closer look at this guy here, I think that Playmates has done a really good job in terms of keeping the paint very nice and clean. There's very little, if at any, bad stray marks of paint and things like that. If you look on the back of Donatello's shell, you can see that it does have molded patterns all throughout the shell, so that's great. It's not just a standard regular brown. They actually put a little bit of work into the design of that shell. And on the back, he has a little place where you can put his bow staff if you don't want to pose him with it. So that's great. I'm always happy to see action figures that give you places to put the accessories that they give you, so you don't lose them, because that's what happens with loose accessories. You lose them. Now, as far as articulation goes, this is way better than the normal stuff that Playmates puts out in their more kid-friendly toy line. So let's just go over some of the articulation here. Now, the legs go out about this far. Now, unfortunately, my figure is a little bit loose, so even though I can't put them up like that, you see how sometimes it just kind of goes right back down, so they're not stiff joints, but at the same time, my joints can be a little bit loose, so that could hurt some articulation. If you're trying to get a really awesome dynamic static pose that doesn't move, it'll kind of suck if the leg just kind of goes back into its regular place. But the articulation is pretty good. Spreading the legs out like this, the only thing that's hindering it from going out even further, as you can see, this part of the shell is right here. And that's just the design of the turtle. If he weren't a turtle and this weren't in the way, I'm pretty sure he'll be able to kick his leg up higher than that. But that's the limitations of just the regular design. You can see like the arms here, we got ourselves a nice double jointed elbow right there. On the hands, the fingers are articulated individually. So the two fingers here as well as the thumb, they are all individually articulated. So I think that that's really good. The joints are somewhat hidden by the elbow pads and the knee pads. So that's a great way to hide them. You also get a swivel right there, kind of like at the bicep, 360 degrees. You can also move that shoulder, that arm all the way up like that, because there's another joint right there. And of course, it's the same thing with the other arm. And for the legs, you do get double jointed knees. On the foot, you have individually articulated toes. And that's pretty cool. And you can also move the toe from left to right. But sadly, there's no ankle pivot on this guy. We have individually articulated fingers and toes, but we have no ankle pivot. That really, that sucks, because when it comes to a Ninja Turtle, when you want to pose them in the best way possible, you want to be all out like this, and this leg is kind of bent. It's great if you were able to just get a little bit more stability just by rocking that ankle. But the good thing about the articulated toes is it does give you a little bit more option here. So I kind of got him standing up on his toes a little bit. So that helps to balance him out a little bit too. So maybe that's a bit of an exchange. You lose the ankle pivot, but hey, maybe you can somewhat make up for it just by wiggling the toes in a appropriate way. Now for his head is interchangeable, so of course you'd still get some regular motion that goes to the right and to the left. You can't look up all that much. You can only look up that much, because if you try to go a little bit higher than that, you're going to rip the head off. So you can't really look up all that much, but he can look down fairly well. But let's take a look at these interchangeable heads. So this is the head that he just comes with. Looks like he has a bit of a smirk on his face a little bit. But you can just easily pop that head off and use one of the other 3 interchangeable heads. And as you can see here, this is kind of like his, I don't know, he looks kind of crazy actually. He's gritting his teeth and the eyes are a little bit bugging out, and maybe this is just Donatello's happy pose. He's found his happy place. So that's that head. Another head that you could use is this one. Looks somewhat similar to the first head. It is somewhat of a serious look, but that's another design. Oh, the other cool thing about the bandanas on each of the interchangeable heads is that the bandanas, they are a little bit different in the way that they're kind of moving in the wind. So you see like this one right here, it looks like the wind is blowing it off to one side, where these flow a little bit differently. And this one just kind of goes like flat to the left and flat to the right. So I think that's pretty cool there. And the last head that we have here is this one. And it's just with Donatello with a somewhat of an open mouth. So great that they gave you 3 interchangeable heads. You get 4 different head options for Donatello if you want to use them, and I think that's great. Now, let's talk about the weapon, the bow staff. Now, it is pretty much the bow staff itself is a solid brown piece. The wraps on it were given a slightly shinier brown, so that helps break things up a little bit. But the problem that I've been having with this guy is really just getting him to hold this bow staff, rather tightly. Now, since he has individually articulated fingers and a thumb, I find myself just kind of having to wrap that around like this. And yes, it feels just a tiny bit tight, but if I wanted to just sort of make him hold it in all of his hands and try to bring it in a better pose, I find it difficult just to get him to really hold on to this tightly. Is it possible? Yes, because like you saw at the very beginning of this part of the video, I did have it that way, but it did take some fiddling, and I'm not going to try to do it again on camera in reverse because it's just not going to work. So I will tell you that I wish that he held on to this accessory a little bit better, or at least that the grip that he can put down on these fingers were good enough so that the bow staff wouldn't, fall out of his hands as easily. A couple of other accessories that he does have, of course, he has this broom, which kind of has a similar issue that the bow staff has. You can try to get a pretty nice pose with this broom, but again, just trying to get Donatello to, properly hold it and not have it kind of fall and slip and go out of his hands, that can be a little bit of a challenge for you. So, like I said, I do appreciate the added articulation that they give you for the fingers and toes. But man, when you give accessories for action figures, it's always a wonderful thing if they can hold it flawlessly. I will love that. And lastly, we have this little Wiffle Bat here, which I think is the accessory that he can hold the best, because the Wiffle Bat, it's actually thicker. It's thicker than the bow staff, and it's thicker than the broom. So if I can just try to get him to hold on to this, I feel that he holds on to this a little bit better just because of the thickness of the handle of it. And this is really just a throwback to the beginning of the movie. It's a fun little accessory. But if I'm gonna be putting this guy up on my shelf to pose him with something, it'll most likely be with the bow staff because it's Donatello. Or you just put the bow staff on his back like this and maybe just give him the Wiffle Bat or the broom. Why not? I think that's pretty cool. That's all the accessories that he comes with. I'm going to pop this head off and give him his original head, which was... I think I already had his original head on. But yeah, so as far as the posability goes, you do get a lot of different options. He does have peg holes on his feet. So if you wanted to get him into, let's just say... he's got this foot up, like, as you can see, you see how this leg was just kind of falling down like that? See, what I'm trying to do is get him to kind of get like in a side kick pose. So if we can kind of have him like this, but his leg keeps falling. So imagine his leg stayed right where it was, and I'll just kind of turn his head like this. And, if you can have him like on some sort of a stand, and then also have his bow staff in his hand, I'm just going to rest it kind of like that. I think that will be a pretty cool pose to have him in. Or, you can probably make him seem like he's coming down from like the ceiling, like the beginning of the movie when they all just kind of jump down. I think that would be a good look too. But, all in all, I think that this is a pretty darn cool figure. I really like him. And it's also one of those things where it's kind of the best that you are going to get at this price point, since Playmates really is the only company that won't have to jump through a lot of hoops in order to release a figure of this scale in a traditional retail store. It's kind of like why the NECA figure is the ones that's going to be exclusive to Comic-Con, and that's the only place that they're going to be, because they can't put those out on the shelves when stuff like this exists. That's just the way the law works. But I still like this guy. It's going to be head and shoulders over any other Ninja Turtle figure that Playmates has on the shelves right now. And I'm imagining that Leonardo is the exact same way. So you want to try to complete your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collection, and you want to have a figure that's better than the normal, better than the average that you would normally get, I would definitely give this guy a look, and I would definitely pick him up. And once you get them in the pose that you want, and you just kind of leave them like that, I think that it will look good. So that being said, I think I just might head out sometime soon and try to pick up that Leonardo as well, because the two would just look so good together. So that's all for this review, guys, and thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more stuff like this, be sure to subscribe. Don't fall, Donatello. I'm doing the close. Come on, embarrass me. There we go. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I'm Jeremy, and I'll talk to you later.